So, Jerry Allen, I welcome you this evening to our Versammling, to our Wednesday night Torah 101 class. And as I was saying before, this is a very powerful message. It comes just before Rosh Hashanah. Interestingly enough, Rosh Hashanah, the rabbis tell us, is our new year. We're going to be 5783. But as you know, and I've mentioned before, our new year is actually do you remember when?
Well, you mentioned something in Pesach,
At
Nissan, whatever.
Pesach. Exactly. Nisan is the beginning of our year. That's what it says in the Torah, that Nisan shall be the first month of the year for you. And so that is our year. And we would say, so what's the big deal if the rabbis change to, they may not have necessarily changed, they just added another new year. Actually, they've added 3 New Years, extra New Years. Rosh Hashanah, which they say is the head of the year, but it isn't. It's Nisan. Then they have the Pesach, which they acknowledge. But they say with Rosh Hashanah that it's the beginning of humanity. So if that's the case, then all the nations, the rest of the world, should be celebrating this as the new year. Wouldn't you say, if it's right from the beginning of humanity? Excuse me. I just want to turn on something, my heater off. And then, but it says in Devarim, I think it's in chapter 4, it says twice in Devarim that we are not, God told us, do not add and do not take away anything from my words. So when we add or take away from what's written in the Torah, basically what we're saying is we have more authority than our Creator. And that's where I have a problem with this. Now, this week's parasha, I've spent, the whole week looking at Nitzavim. It means we are standing. And he says, all of us are standing here today, just before Rosh Hashanah. We're all standing here today, not only those who were back then when Moses was speaking to them, but to you, Jerry Allen, and to me, Pesha Pardo, to me and you, we're standing here today before our God, and he is speaking these words directly to us. So let's take a look at what he's going to be saying to us today. Okay, can you see the writing? Is it
Yes.
easy to see, or should I make it bigger?
No, I'm okay. I'm good.
Okay, you want to start reading it, Jer?
Well, you usually start, no, or whatever. What number? 8, 9, 10? Which
No,
one?
we're starting here. Atem nitzavim. You are standing.
Ye are standing this day, all of you, before the Lord your God, your heads, your tribes, your elders, and your officers, even all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger that is in the midst of thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water, that thou shouldest enter into the covenant of the Lord thy God and into his oath, which the Lord thy God maketh with thee this day.
So let's just look at this for a moment. So here we are, all standing, all of us, all of you, from the heads of the tribes, from the President of the United States, from the Queen of England, to all the elders, the leaders in our communities, our officers, all the men of Israel. And then it continues with the children. And after the children are the wives. So the wives are after the little ones. And then the stranger, the ger, who is living with us in our camps. All those who draw our wood, who draw our water, who chop our wood, from the highest to the lowest, that we, all of them, should enter into the covenant that the Lord God is making with us that day. And what covenant was that? Do you know, Jer? It was the covenant at Mount Sinai that he made to us. Remember the 10 Commandments. And here it says, continue.
That he may establish this day unto himself for a people, and that he may be unto thee a God. And he spoke unto thee, and he swore unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob.
Now, this verse, what hit me here was the word establish. I mean, that's a pretty powerful word. When you establish something, you make it firm, you make it strong. You're establishing a university, you establish a hospital. Here he's establishing us, you, as a people, to be our God, as he spoke, as he swore. It wasn't out of nothing. He swore that to our Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our forefathers. And now look what he says next.
Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day.
He's looking at us, all the generations, the future generations, also with us who are here with him this day, you and I.
For ye know how we dealt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the midst of the nations through which ye passed. And ye have seen their detestable things, and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were with them, lest they should be among you man or woman or family or tribe, whose heart turneth away this day from the Lord our God, to go to serve the gods of those nations, lest there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood. And it come to pass, when he heareth the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart, that the water be swept away with the dry. The Lord will not be willing to pardon him, but then the anger of the Lord and his jealousy shall be kindled against that man, and all the curse that is written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Lord shall blot out his name from under the heaven. And the Lord shall separate him unto evil of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that is written in this book of the law.
Okay, let's go back. Let's look a little bit at here what he's saying. So he's saying he's making this covenant with us today. And here again, time and again, he brings back the story of Egypt, the story of our Exodus, the story of how we saw the gods of that nation, and how he hated those detestable things, idols of wood and stone, silver and gold, which were with them. And he tells us that if our hearts turn away from our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to go and serve the gods of those nations, if there's anyone who is, he says here, who blesses himself in his heart, saying, I can have peace even though I am stubborn. God is telling us not to be so hard-hearted, not to think. And he's including every human being, because we saw here where it says the ones who are with us were the heads, men and women, children, the stranger among us, everyone who is walking with us. He includes everyone. So really the whole world is included here, because we were to bring his covenant to all the world. And this is exactly what's happening today, that we are walking in the stubbornness of our own heart. Everybody I speak to. I spoke to somebody the other day and I said, one of the 10 commandments, the fourth commandment, because she said, I believe in God. I said, yeah, but you don't want to keep the Sabbath. Well, I don't have to. I don't believe in that stuff. But it's one of the 10 commandments. But she absolutely says, I'm not interested in it. And the Lord will not be willing to pardon him, and the anger and his jealousy shall be kindled against that man. And all the curse that is written in this book shall lie upon him. And the Lord shall blot out his name from under heaven. Now, I'm not saying just because she doesn't keep the Shabbat that she's going to be cursed or that her name is going to be blotted out. But we really do again, if we go back to the story of Egypt, we see how Pharaoh's pride destroyed himself, his people, his family, and that nation. It was like that nation fell out under a curse. And it says, all the curses of the Torah that was written, of the covenant that is written in this book of the Torah. It says, HaTorah Hazeh. It is not law, it is Torah. And the generation to come, your children, who shall rise after you, and the foreigner shall come from a far land, shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, and the sickness wherewith the Lord has made it sick, and that the whole land is brimstone and salt and burning, that it is not sown nor bears, nor any grass grows like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, for 2,000 years, our land lay barren. It lay emptied. And all the foreigners looked at that land that God had given us and said, the Lord has struck that land with a sickness. All the nations shall say, why has God done this to this land? What does the heat of his great anger mean? Then men shall say, because they forsook the covenant of the Lord, the God of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. Again, coming back to that story. And they went and served other gods. So what are gods? Today, we could call them gurus. We have the gurus in the financial industry who tell us how to invest our money and make money into a god. We have the gurus in the pharmaceutical industry that tell us that they have the answers for all of humanity and their drugs. We have the medical gurus who tell us that they know better than us how to take care of our bodies. We have the political, the sociological, philosophical, spiritual gurus, gurus of every type, who want us to follow them and their ideologies instead of worshiping our God, because God has given us a simple Torah. And we went and served other gods and worshiped them, gods that they didn't know and that he had not allotted to them. Therefore, the anger of the Lord was kindled against this land, our promised land, to bring upon us all the curse that is written in this book. And the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. It started in Babylon. We were taken out. Our king was destroyed. We were kicked out again 2,000 years ago when Titus came into Rome, and our people starved for 2 years until they ate their own flesh. They ate their own offspring. It was such a horrible time in Jerusalem. And then it says here, the secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, so that we may do all the words of this Torah Hazot, of this Torah. It's not secret. God clearly told us what we need to do. And what do we do? All these people who talk about, I'm looking into Kabbalah, I'm looking into mysticism, because the Torah isn't enough. And it shall come to pass, when all these things have come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you shall think, when you're among the nations, where the Lord your God has driven you, and you shall return to the Lord your God, and listen to his voice, according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart, all levavcha, with all your nafshecha, all your soul, that then the Lord your God will turn your captivity. He will set us free, and he will have compassion upon us, and we will return and gather you from all the nations, all the peoples, where the Lord your God has scattered you. Well, that hasn't fully happened yet because we're still here. We're still scattered, although many more people have gone back to Israel than ever before. If any of you who are dispersed in the uttermost parts of heaven, from there the Lord your God will gather you, and from there he will fetch you. And the Lord your God will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. Imagine, our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, brought us to that land, and we shall possess it. Maybe not in this life, but in future generations. And he will do you good and multiply you even more than your fathers were ever multiplied. And the Lord your God will circumcise your heart. He will open your heart and the heart of your seed, your children, to love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, so that you may live. How many of us are truly, truly living today? I see more stress, more anxiety, people who don't want to live, who don't know how to live, and are choosing death today because we have gone away from our God. We have gone away from our root. The Lord your God will put all these curses upon your enemies and on those who hate you and who persecuted you. Look how many people are persecuting the Jews again today and who hate us again today. But the Lord our God will put all these things that he talked about on them. And you shall return and listen to the voice of the Lord, to do all his commandments, which I command you this day. And the Lord your God will make you overabundant in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, in the fruit of your cattle, in the fruit of your land, for good. And the Lord will again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your fathers. And if you shall hearken, listen, obey the voice of the Lord your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes. Commandments are mitzvot, here, mitzvotav, and his statutes, v'chukotav, which are written in the book of the law. The mitzvot are the first 3 commandments, and the statutes are the second 2, which are written in the book of this Torah. If you turn to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, for this commandment which I command you this day is not too hard for you, neither is it far off. It's not in heaven that you should say, who's going to go up to heaven and bring it down to us so that we may hear it, that we may do it. It's not beyond the sea that you should say, oh, I have to go over somewhere to another land. Let me go to India. Let me go to wherever, to Ukraine, to visit the rabbis' graves. Who should go over the sea for us and bring it to us and make us hear it, that we may do it? The word is very near you. It's in your mouth. It's in your heart, so that you may do it. It's not a matter of believing. It's a matter of doing. He says, see, I have set before you this day life and good, death and evil, in that I command you this day to love the Lord your God. Now I stopped here for a minute. What do you mean? He commands us to love him. How could you command someone to love somebody? Isn't love a feeling? An ushy gushy mushy feeling? But we can't control that. It just happens. But here God is saying, I command you to love the Lord with all his heart, all our hearts. But then I look at what I was taught about the word love in Hebrew, ahava. Ahava has to do with loyalty, being loyal. And it has nothing to do with a feeling. It has to do with being loyal to someone because we have a choice. We were given something called Bechira Chofshit, free will. And because we've been given free will, we are different from the angels. We are different from every other creature. We are the only one who has free will. And we can choose to love. We can choose to be loyal. When we stand under the chuppah and we make a vow to be loyal to our mate, we need to do that because we gave our word. And how many today are keeping that? So he's commanding us to walk in his ways. What are his ways? His commandments. And here he shows us to keep his mitzvotav, chukim, and mishpatim. The first three, again, commandments, mitzvot, are the first three commandments. Chukim, second two commandments. Ordinances, the last five. Mishpatim, the 10 commandments. Then you shall live and multiply. And the Lord your God will bless you in the land where you go to possess it. But if your heart turns away and you will not hear, but you'll be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I declare to you this day that you shall surely perish. And it doesn't necessarily mean physical perishing. But we, over and over, he talks about a spiritual death. It's like when we're separated from our source, we lose everything about who we were meant to be, which is why there is so much pain, so much anxiety, so much illness, so much worry in the world today. We have lost our source. You shall not prolong your days upon the land where you pass over the Jordan to go in to possess it. Now here, the Torah tells us that we always have to have 2 witnesses before we can make a vow. And he says, I call heaven and earth, all those angels who live above us, and all those on earth to witness against you, meaning us, you and me, this day, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore, choose life. We have the ability, we have the option, so that you may live, you and your offspring, your seed, so that we can love the Lord our God, listen to his voice, cleave to him, for that is your life and the length of your days. If you want to know how the secret to long life, to good life, to healthy life, is when the entire world is cleaving to the only God of the universe, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and obeying his voice and listening to his and obeying his commandments, that you may live in the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. This is the last portion before our high holidays.
Oh, yeah. We have a visitor.
We do have a visitor. Miriam Habirambaum.
Hi, Miriam.
Miriam is in incognito tonight because she was hit by leprosy. Poor Miriam.
I have a feeling it's infected because it's hot, hot, hot. Anyway, I'll go again if I have
You
to.
think you need some antibiotics?
Maybe, yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, I'll see. I'll
Well,
talk.
put some aloe vera, put some cool. You have enough aloe vera at
Oh,
home?
yeah, I've been doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, put cool things on, and we'll pray. We'll pray that God will heal you.
Thank you.
We need a miracle at this time, and we're all being called to come before His throne when the shofar is blasted on Yom Teruah. It's not a blast of war. It's a blast for us to pay attention, for us to search our hearts. We begin the holidays with Psalm 139, search me, O God, know my heart, try me and know my thoughts, and see if there is any wicked way within me, and lead me into your way everlasting. And there's so many things that we do, so many things that try to take us away from our God. And he's constantly giving us an opportunity to come back. The holidays are communal, are a way for us as a community to come back. It's not about going to shul and saying, "Oh God, forgive me," and then the next day doing exactly the same thing that we did the day before. It's about listening to his voice. So, do you have any comments about what we read today?
Yeah, later, maybe.
Okay, later being how far in the distant future?
Medium distant future.
Medium?
But you're not
Within,
finished here. Are you not?
it was a short portion.
Okay. So
Yeah, it's a short
after,
portion today.
yeah, after the portion, yeah.
Okay. Miriam, I know you missed part of it. I don't know if you read the whole
Well,
pasha.
I know that God is merciful. Sorry. Hello? Is the
Yeah,
God of beginning again? So he
yeah,
lays before us that choice of choosing life. And it's really very powerful. Even in our little walk every day in life, it's not just not necessarily only one big choosing, which it is, of course, but
yeah,
it's every day and every decision we make.
right.